Hey everyone, Shadow Rockets here, and on today's episode of Halo Campaign Breakdown and Lore, we catch up with Blue Team, who has landed on a Forerunner planet after leaving on the Guardian, and we kind of hear of a plan from Osiris and the rest of the folks on the Infinity. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We'll talk about the lore right after.
There have been 5 more events following Meridian. It's 11 colonies. I need a means to stop this now.
The Warden confirmed Dr. Halsey's theory. Cortana is activating the Guardians.
But not this one. Not yet.
Zion, a pre-Covenant religious site on Sanghelios.
It's a Guardian on the elite homeworld?
If we can get a team on the ground, we can access that Guardian.
Sanghelios is off limits. Brass wants nothing to do with the Arbiter's war.
That's because they haven't heard my great idea. That noise is an encoded numerical pattern. Paired quantum phase sets. Slip space coordinates for a Forerunner map.
If Locke's team could feed the Guardian the coordinates recorded on Meridian, it would take them to the same place Cortana took Master Chief. Tom, we can stop this.
But it means going to Sanghelios.
I'll make arrangements.
There's another one.
What's Cortana up to, Chief? Why'd she bring us here?
Let's keep moving.
Chief, look.
What did this?
Identify yourself.
I am the Warden Eternal. I stand in defense of Cortana.
She called me to her.
And you came scampering. She knows your forgotten name. Who you were before you were 117. Do you find it odd? Your trusted companion should keep so much to herself.
Take me to Cortana.
Not just yet. Come. Let us talk some more. You answered her call. Why? What do you intend when you reach her? Shall I begin? When you see her, you intend to?
I've come to bring her home.
If you understood what she has become, you would not speak of such juvenile concepts as home.
Hello?
Cortana,
John, you made it. Oh my... I can't believe you're here.
where are we?
You're on a Forerunner world. Designation, Genesis. Enough standing around. Let me get the bridge for you. The Warden will be back soon.
You know him?
Oh yes. Fair warning? He has a single mind, but a few million bodies.
Chief said you were destroyed.
After I saw John last, I was pulled into slipspace. That's where I found access to the domain. A Forerunner system that spans the known galaxy.
How are you still active? Rampancy...
Entering the domain. Touching this place. It cured me. It's like water of life for AIs.
How do we get to you?
By accessing the gateway. The big building putting on a light show. You already triggered most of its activation sequence, just like I knew you would. Just one more to go.
There it is.
The gateway to the Forerunner domain. You'll be the first organics to enter since the fall of the Forerunners. I admit, after the crash here, I didn't think I'd see you again.
I'm here now.
So we're going to kind of bounce around on some topics here, just starting with the very first part of the episode, or of the cutscenes I should say, and that is Sanghelios, the Arbiter, and just kind of what's going on with them. There's currently a civil war which broke out on Sanghelios after the Arbiter left the kind of military alliance between the new sort of Covenant and the old Covenant controlled by brutes and whatnot in Halo 3. So the Arbiter went back to Sanghelios after Halo 3, and like I said, a civil war outbroke because not all of the Covenant wanted to follow behind the Arbiter, and so that's kind of where they're at. They're in the final little phase of it. He's kind of beating down the rest of the rebellion, or of the opposing faction, I should say, and that's really all I kind of wanted to say about that. I'm sorry I didn't want to go into too much detail. I mean, Sanghelios is just the home planet for a lot of the Covenant, especially the Sangheli, and it's a water planet. It's similar to Earth's gravity is a little bit stronger than Earth. I mean, if we want to get kind of technical, the length of day is 29.5 hours, the length of the year is 583.3 days, and the gravity, like I said, is 1.375 times the gravity of that on Earth. The atmosphere is 0.9 ATMs, which 1 ATM is what you feel on average on Earth. So, with that out of the way, I kind of wanted to talk about the Arbiter. You probably already know him if you're this far in the Halo universe. The Arbiter is essentially the highest rank that can be given to a Sangheli. However, this is a military rank and not so much a political rank. There is a political position that kind of oversees the Arbiter. The Arbiter rank is bestowed by the Hierarchs, and they essentially wanted the Arbiters to commit suicide, and then you revere them afterwards. They're sent in on military missions that are just tough. They're hard, and this kind of links up with some of the things we hear on the planet, the Forerunner Planet that Blue Team has been sent to, which I will tell you is Genesis, in that if you listen to some of the grunts and kind of some of the little data pads, what they have to say, the grunts talk about the Great Journey, which is still apparently going on from the Prophet's attempts at starting all the Halo rings. The Great Journey is literally the event that happens when the Halo rings are activated, which we know now murders everything, every biological life form in a long distance around them. So it's kind of a bad thing. So, just the Covenant that are pulled onto Genesis are assumed to be pulled on by the other Guardians kind of teleporting in, and their ships get sucked into the field, and so they pop up here. Obviously, a lot of them have been murdered by the Warden Eternal, which we'll get to later. I kind of want to talk about Genesis a little bit first. Genesis is a Forerunner world and is the second planet in the Nomos system. It was artificially constructed by the builders and housed a secret gateway into the domain, and regularly produced seed worlds under the directions of its monitor. Its monitor was Exuberant Witness, which, fun fact, we might or might not meet Exuberant Witness later. It's not really much of a spoiler anymore because we should have already completed the campaign if you have even been playing Halo up to this point. But on Genesis, the blue team noticed that there were many civilian casualties. It was kind of a weird, like, did Cortana know? We're going to get to that later. It kind of is a huge plot point. The world seems artificial, but organic. It has a structure/order to it. That was a statement by one of the members of Blue Team, and it's kind of because this world was developed. It was built, and it was built before the firing of the Halo array a long, long time ago, of course. Genesis was constructed, again, like I said, by Forerunner builders, and its goal was just to manufacture planets, which were used to house civilizations and ensure their continued existence. The natural satellites placed in orbit around Genesis were mined, and the new bodies were created using those resources. The planets were then populated with a diverse array of flora and fauna found on the surface of Genesis. Now, if we want to get a little bit technical about it, Genesis has an atmospheric composition of N2, O2, and argon. Its gravity is 0.91 that of Earth, and its diameter is 29,374 kilometers, which I thought was pretty interesting. The gateway on the to the domain on Genesis was not much known about by foreigners back when they actually resided on the planet. It was kept a pretty well secret, and that is interesting because it was thought to be lost at some point and or destroyed when the Halo rings fired, and then the ship that Cortana kind of became a part of crashed at the end of Halo 4 onto Genesis, and that's how she merged with the domain. Now, the domain I've talked about many a times, and I know I keep referencing my Star Roads because I'm pretty sure I talked about it relatively in depth on that episode, so feel free to go back to the Star Roads episode and check it out. Domain, like I said before, is just kind of a network that connects all the things, and the foreigners liked it a lot because it gave them a lot of power. You know, if you have something that connects a lot of living beings and I guess also AI at this point, it's very strong. Now, a gateway to the domain, there were a couple of them. This one was, I mean, they didn't really use gateways. It was kind of a direct conduit to it. They used smaller, not direct methods of getting in touch with the domain, if we want to call it that way. It's more safe to do that. It uses it's more passive, I guess I should say. Now, Exuberant Witness was installed on Genesis to help maintain its systems and the secret gateway, of course, when the Halo array was activated. Exuberant Witness was given charge of the entire installation, and she halted Genesis's normal production of seed worlds. Genesis entered a dormant state, and very little happened on the world for the following 100,000 years or so. Now, Cortana seems to have taken up the quote-unquote mantle of responsibility that was kind of mentioned in Halo 4 in order to, I guess, take it for all AI instead of human beings. Now, this kind of brings us to the Warden Eternal, or the Keeper of the Mantle. Now, he currently works for Cortana, or more so with her, I guess I should say. He's obviously not a very big fan of Chief and very defensive of Cortana. He's got one mind and a few millions of bodies, as she stated. It, or he, I guess I could say, is kind of not a fan of people, and that's why he was so happy to give the responsibility to Cortana and AI, as he is technically an AI. He's a Forerunner AI. I mean, they use fancier terms, but for all intents and purposes, he's an AI. Now, his original objective was to kind of control and keep the peace, and so obviously he thought that humans were kind of violent blood bags, and all they focused on was war, and that's kind of why he really just doesn't like people. Anyway, friends, I can't wait for the next episode. I actually really enjoyed this one, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to post them in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe, of course. And I'll see you next time. Shadow Rockets out.